The new ports of Black Ops 1 and 2 are officially confirmed. It's happening, my friends. We may actually be back. I actually kind of feel like we could be back, at least on this channel. I don't know. Well, you guys let me know what kind of content you want once we're playing Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 on PS5 together. But, I mean, in about a month, the entire COD community is probably going to abandon Black Ops 7 and Warzone, and we're going to have this giant party on the classic games. And just like the old days, I'm going to tell you how to level up the fastest, stay the most competitive in these games that are well over 10 years old, the best guns to use, the worst guns to use, the best maps, the best whatever. We're probably going to do all that because you know what? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The people on X saying, oh my gosh, it's not getting remastered, people are going to stop playing it after 2 days. You are completely wrong and you're missing the whole plot here. Anyway, welcome to the channel, everybody. Today, I'm going to give you the best Black Ops 2 guns before launch. That's right, we are back. This is old school. If you've never played Black Ops 2, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to tell you which guns you need to use out of the gate, even though some of these are going to be controversial. Okay. If you use the LSAT in Black Ops 2 back in the day, you were a douchebag, okay? But at the end of the day, people can't blame you that you were a douchebag because it was an insane gun with insane power. An LMG with 2-shot kill potential and a giant magazine complete with a pretty decent fire rate and almost no recoil. And on top of all that, the cherry on the top of the sundae, you had some of the most toxic attachments ever. The target finder optic, the FMJ rounds. Ridiculous on this gun for some reason. They made it so you could shoot through walls like they weren't even there, like they were paper mache. The LSAT was even a default class with a target finder and a riot shield as your secondary. People are going to grab that so quick. You could actually place into the environment in Black Ops 2. So you had a piece of portable cover. And tips and tricks with Chaos Silencer for those of you playing the game for the first time. The LSAT was one of the most hated guns in the game, but it was also one of the best if we're talking about raw stats. And those are honestly some of the most annoying guns in COD history. It's one thing when people are spamming a gun that's annoying and easy to use but not amazing. It's another thing entirely when people are spamming a gun that's actually one of the best in the game. That's, yeah. Well, I feel dirty for even mentioning it. Let's shift gears. Okay, something a little less toxic, a lot more fondly remembered, one of the smoothest rifles in Call of Duty history with one of the most iconic reload animations. If you know me, you already guessed it. I can't wait for this one. The M27, a gun with virtually no recoil when you held down the trigger, but the accuracy was offset by the fact that the time to kill was pretty average. But that's not a bad thing, because it was easy to hit your shots. The average time to kill still felt pretty rewarding and valuable because you always knew exactly how long you were going to have to hold your reticle on the enemy in order to drop them. From virtually any distance, you were going to need 3 to 4 shots to kill the enemy with the M27. And the gun, it was never going to get in the way of you actually landing those shots. It barely moved during sustained fire. And can I just mention how awesome it sounded? Here, listen. Yeah. I feel like this is one of the more underrated firing sounds in Black Ops 2, but something about it sounded special. Every bullet was cracking through the atmosphere at lightning speed, one right after another, but in a graceful and sophisticated way, if that makes any sense. And then, of course, we can't talk about the M27 without talking about the reload animation. Yeah, I mean, it was smooth. Fan favorite that Treyarch ended up recycling for 50 other guns throughout Black Ops history. The gun was awesome. I still consider it one of the best assault rifles in COD history, even if it wasn't one of the fastest killing. It was so freaking reliable. Once you unlocked it, it was hard to put it down. If you see me out there in Black Ops 2, you're probably going to see me with this gun at some point. I'm pretty sure the gun was on one of the default classes, but it wasn't kitted optimally, so yeah. Next up. This one was actually one of the first guns in COD history to get completely banned from competitive play because Treyarch legitimately had no idea how to rebalance it once people figured out how it was busted. I am talking about the infamous FAL OSW. Fundamentally too powerful. No way to nerf it without completely destroying what the gun was supposed to be, so they just banned it from competitive play, left it untouched in public matches. But you know what that means? It means you'll get to experience the FAL in all of its broken glory when the game relaunches in July. Semi-auto rifle, no recoil, 25-round default mag, really high fire rate cap. Honestly, I don't know how Treyarch thought it was properly balanced in the first place, because if you have a decent trigger finger and a half-decent aim, it was game-breaking. And I know I'm going to run to a bunch of sweats on launch day running around with it. They're going to have this, the MMS optic, and the FMJ rounds. Again, tips and tricks with Chaos Silencer is coming back. If you want to completely break the game and piss off the whole lobby, run the FAL with the MMS and the FMJ rounds. Yeah, everybody will hate you, but you'll get so much free XP, so I'll let you decide whether it's worth it. Now, the next gun I have to really, well, I had to sit down because I really had to think about where this belonged on the list. On one hand, it's one of the most iconic weapons in COD history. On the other hand, you kind of have to think about it in the context of the game as whole, talking about the ballista. Now, this bolt-action sniper was decently popular when the game launched, but after the infamous DSR nerf, right? Were you there for that? It became the most popular sniper in the game by a landslide. Lightweight, big default mag, very, very small one-shot kill range. It meant you had to put in work into getting consistent. And if you were playing Black Ops 2 for the first time next month, you're going to have to know what's going on here. That's why you're here on the channel. It's not an easy gun to use. But if you put in the work and you aim high, it's going to reward you more than most people or most guns in other games. The big mag and the great fire rate made it incredible for picking people off one right after another, even if it wasn't the best for slower, more traditional sniper playstyles. I think if you're more of a, I guess I would call you a methodical sniper, you're probably going to pick the DSR. It sacrifices speed for a much larger one-shot kill range. But if you're looking to be the most impressive guy in the lobby, while I guess making some epic YouTube and TikTok gameplays, put in the time to get good with the ballista. It'll be frustrating at first, I promise. But the potential, it's off the charts. I'm honestly really excited to see what the modern COD sniping community does with this gun after the game relaunches next month. And speaking of guns that are really hard to use, but absolutely incredible if you master them, I mean, it's the most skill-based shotgun in COD history. It really wasn't a shotgun in practice. Talking about the KSG. Basically a shrunken down sniper rifle, and that is why we loved it. Slug shotgun, absurd one-shot kill range for a shotgun, but a super tiny, small hitbox that you're going to have to put a lot of time into getting used to. Trust me, when you pick this gun up, it's going to feel weird because you're going to be hovering your gun right over somebody. You're going to pull the trigger and it's going to miss. It's like you're playing Fallout and the VATS targeting says your shot has a 99% chance of hitting, but you miss. So be patient. Get good. You'll see so many old heads love this gun so much. If you're aiming at the chest or higher, it's just an absurd one-shot kill range. And since it's a shotty, that means it also has ridiculously quick handling speeds, massive ammo capacity, and a very quick fire rate. This is not a gun for everybody. Trust me. It takes a lot of skill to use consistently. But a good KSE or KSG player will dominate the lobby every single time. People are going to be posting some of the dumbest KSG clips in a month or two. I can't wait for it. Another one of the most iconic weapons in COD history is the Scorpion Evo. Yeah. I mean, currently tied for having the fastest default fire rate in Call of Duty history. It clocks in at 1,250 rounds per minute, and then you could put rapid fire on it. I mean, the Scorpion is also one of the scariest sounding guns in the entire franchise. Take a listen.
Grenade! Sniper!
UAV on standby.
If you're running around the map and you hear somebody firing it, you hit the deck. You start looking around where they are because they will delete you instantly if you let them get the first shot off. Yes, the recoil is brutal, I know, but the time to kill is totally unbeatable if you can just try to get it under control or just stick to close range, which is what most Scorpion players will do. What really makes the Evo terrifying to go up against is the fact that the damage profile is actually pretty good despite the fire rate. It fires at over 1,200 rounds per minute, and yet it's only a 4-shot kill up to mid-range, 3 if you land a headshot? That's crazy. I mean, you explain to me how you're supposed to react to that and counter it. You can't. The Scorpion Evo is dumb, absurd, and it's one of the most famous SMGs in the franchise, and you're about to get it in your hands. There's no escaping this thing once it starts firing. And speaking of iconic SMGs, you can't talk about the best Black Ops 2 guns without talking about the competitive SMG of choice. Hot take, you're probably going to say I should have put it higher, but it's my list, so yeah. A lot of competitive COD players still call this the best SMG in the entire franchise, and the design is iconic on top of the stats. I'm talking about the MSMC. The fire rate, it's actually kind of low for an SMG, but the damage, it was really high as long as you were hitting above the waist, and the range was extremely strong. So what you had was a weapon that would punish you for missing your shots, but greatly reward you for hitting them, which is kind of difficult because the MSMC had a lot of recoil that you probably remember. You had the various remakes of it. They were laser beams, but the OG version from Black Ops 2 actually had quite a bit of kick to it. That being said, if you control the kick, it's one of the most versatile weapons in COD history. Maintains an extremely consistent time to kill all the way through long range despite being an SMG. So yes, the fire rate was low and the reload animation was slow. But the damage that it pumped out in every scenario, as long as you could stay on target, it was valuable. And it was not hard to see why the pros loved it. If you're booting up Black Ops 2 for the first time in July, you have to experience the MSMC in its true glory, not the remakes. You're going to be shocked at how much the original version kicks, but stick with it, I promise. Learn the recoil pattern, and you'll see why it's such an icon. Now, this next pick might actually piss some of you off because of how high I'm ranking it, but I promise you, once the new version of this game comes out, people are going to pick it up, and they're going to see why I ranked it so high. This is a sleeper pick. It was a sleeper pick back in the day. I always try to give it love. It was absolutely absurd that it was never as popular as the other rifles. It's a gun that everybody agrees was nuts, but nobody wants to give it a top tier status. I never understood it because it was also the only full auto assault rifle that could get a 2-shot kill, and it wasn't even that hard to land. I'm talking about none other than the Scar H. Not only did it have the best iron sights in the game, it was also pretty easy to control and hit like a Mack truck. And it had a really fast reload animation. There was downsides, yes. Slow handling and I think relatively low fire rate for a full auto, but who cares? At the end of the day, it was an incredible weapon with a top-tier time to kill and so many default powerhouse stats that made it easy to kit out. You didn't need to worry about attaching a grip. It was already accurate. You didn't need to worry about fast mags or extended mags because it had a generous 30-round default mag with a really quick reload animation. You didn't have to worry about using an optic because, like I said, it had the best iron sights in COD history. All you had to do was slap a stock on, maybe quick draw, and maybe a suppressor if you're feeling fancy, and you were off to the races. The Scar H was incredible, but it wasn't as flashy or sexy as some of the other guns in the game, so it was widely seen as high tier instead of top tier, which it should have been top tier. Now, I know that there's going to be debate about it in the comments. I could care less. This is my list, and you'll see why I'm putting it at number 3 when you go boot the game up yourself if you've never played it. At number 2, a totally uncontroversial pick, a boring one, but we have to, right? The M8A1. The first 4-round burst weapon in COD history, widely seen as the best. Time to kill, instant, if you could land your 3 bullets. In fact, you only needed 3 out of your 4 shots to connect in order to kill somebody. That's ridiculous. Fire rate was blazingly fast. You got the burst delay timing, and there's some people who slapped a select fire attachment on it so they could hold the trigger down and use it as a traditional. I didn't do that, but whatever. I was never a big fan of the M8A1. I never really liked the way the burst timing felt, but I knew how good it was. I was always a full auto spray and pray kind of COD player. The more precise and patient players, they loved it. They flocked to it. It's one of the most popular rifles in competitive COD history for good reason. In hands of players with solid timing and precision, you could erase entire lobbies with just a few pulls of the trigger. And I will admit, super nostalgic for the firing sound of this gun. Take a listen. I mean, it was spammed everywhere in MLG and COD events during the Black Ops 2 season. Amazing gun. And frankly, I think a lot of you would have put it at number 1. But I have to hold true. There's one rifle I think beats it out. Might be my full auto bias, but this is my take. The AN-94 is the best. It's appeared so many times throughout COD history. Black Ops 2 version is where it started. Frankly, no other version of the gun has ever come close to matching this one's strength and versatility. It was almost untouchable when it came to the full auto rifles in the game, and it was absolutely worth the grind to unlock. I'm pretty sure this was the last gun in the whole progression system. So you guys all know about the hyper burst feature where the first couple rounds would come out faster than the rest, but what made the Black Ops 2 version so special was the fact that after the hyper burst had finished, that sustained fire rate was very respectable. The accuracy, it was great. The damage profile was reliable. This is one of the smoothest guns in COD history, and it will never, ever, ever take you by surprise. You knew exactly what you were getting when you held down the trigger, and it was all topped off with some of the best iron sights, firing sounds, reload animations, all of it that you could ever have in a Call of Duty game. The Black Ops 2 AN-94 is an absolute beast. I have to give it the number 1 spot. There's going to be a ton of you newer players who never got to experience it back in the day. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. That's the final unlock gun done right, and we're going to leave this video with you listening to this thing. Have a good day.